a flower once worth more than gold, a lake formed by a nuclear blast, and a world where most books were written in one language. Sounds unbelievable, right? Some facts are even stranger than these, like this one. Imagine an entire city disappearing for over 1,200 years, lost to history, buried beneath the waves. That's exactly what happened to the ancient Egyptian city of Heraklion. Once a thriving port, it completely vanished beneath the Mediterranean Sea, hidden from the world. Then, in 2013, divers finally found its ruins underwater, bringing back a piece of history that was thought to be gone forever. The largest tigers in the world are found in Siberia, where they have adapted to survive harsh winters with their thick fur and powerful bodies, making them some of the most formidable predators in the wild. Some of the world's smallest wolves roam the Middle East, weighing only around 30 pounds. In contrast, the largest wolves in the world, found in Canada, Russia, and Alaska, can grow to a massive 175 pounds, nearly 6 times the size of their tiny relatives. There are approximately 1.2 million documented species on Earth today. However, scientists estimate that the actual number could be around 8.7 million. Due to extinction and the vastness of unexplored ecosystems, the true number may never be known. Meet Kanzi, a chimpanzee who isn't just smart. He's practically a survival expert. At 34 years old, he doesn't just know how to start a fire. He actually cooks his own meals. And we're not talking about simple stuff. He makes omelets. He gathers the ingredients, cracks the eggs, and even prepares them over a fire. In 2013, in a city in Brazil, a construction crew had had enough. There was a truck parked right in the middle of their worksite, and no matter how many times they asked the owner to move it, he refused. So they did the next best thing. They cemented the truck right into the sidewalk, permanently. The Canadian Post Office has assigned the postal code HOHOHO to the North Pole, allowing anyone to send a letter to Santa Claus. Every year, more than 1 million letters are addressed to Santa, and each one is answered in the same language it was written in. There is a spa called Bali Heritage Reflexology and spa in Jakarta, Indonesia, that offers a massage treatment unlike any other. Instead of using hands, they place live pythons on a customer's body, letting the movement of the snakes provide a unique and intense massage experience. In 2010, a man got lost in the woods of northern Saskatchewan and needed a way to get rescued. With no other options, he decided to chop down power lines, hoping it would draw attention. His risky plan worked, and he was eventually found and saved. Coffee was so important in early Turkish culture that it influenced their language. The word for breakfast literally translates to before coffee, highlighting how essential coffee was to starting the day. Even the word for the color brown directly translates to the color of coffee, showing how deeply it shaped their daily lives. The longest anyone has ever survived stranded on a shipwrecked raft was 133 days. In 1942, a Chinese man named Poon Lim managed to stay alive by fishing, drinking bird blood, and even killing a shark using a jug of water. He lived until the age of 72, passing away in 1991. To become a London black cab driver, one must pass a test called The Knowledge, which requires memorizing 25,000 roads and 50,000 points of interest. On average, applicants need 12 appearances and about 34 months of intense preparation to successfully pass the exam. In Tunisia, you can book an overnight stay at Luke Skywalker's boyhood home, which is an actual hotel called Hotel Sidi Driss. This famous Star Wars filming location is open to guests, and a stay costs as little as $10, making it an affordable destination for any Star Wars fan. There is a lake in the country of Palau called Jellyfish Lake, where jellyfish have evolved without stingers. These golden jellyfish are completely harmless to humans, making it one of the only places in the world where people can safely swim alongside thousands of jellyfish without any risk of getting stung. In 1770, the British Parliament passed a law condemning lipstick, claiming that any woman who used cosmetics to seduce a man into marriage could be tried for witchcraft. The law reflected the era's fear of deception and manipulation, turning makeup into something legally suspicious. There's an artist named Brian Lay who can do something that doesn't even seem possible. He draws in negatives. At first glance, his sketches look like random shadows and shapes, but when you invert the colors, a full, detailed drawing magically appears. In Japanese myth, there's a creature called the Ashirai Yashiki. It's a giant, unwashed foot that appears before you and demands to be washed. If you don't wash it, it rampages through your house. A butt was a medieval unit of measurement for wine, And technically, a buttload of wine equals 125 gallons or 475 liters. Despite how the phrase is used today, it actually has historical significance and refers to a very large amount of wine. Tap water in Canada is regulated to a higher standard than bottled water, meaning the water from the sink often undergoes stricter testing and safety checks than the water sold in plastic bottles. This makes Canadian tap water one of the safest and cleanest drinking sources in the world. In 1947, legendary boxer Sugar Ray Robinson backed out of a fight after having a nightmare that he would kill his opponent in the ring. Despite his fears, he was eventually convinced to go through with the match. Tragically, his dream came true. His opponent lost his life after the fight. In 2011, the Colbell family suffered an unimaginable tragedy when they lost all 3 of their children, 2 daughters and a son, in a devastating car accident. 1 year later, in what seemed like a miracle, the mother gave birth to triplets, a boy and 2 girls, bringing hope and healing to the grieving family. The highest-scoring soccer game in history, recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records, ended with a score of 149-0. This bizarre match took place in Madagascar in 2002, when one of the teams, furious over a referee's bad call, decided to protest by scoring goal after goal against themselves. The Sahara Desert is currently in a dry phase, but it is not permanent. Scientists predict that in around 15,000 years, the desert will transform back into a lush, green landscape as part of its natural climate cycle. In 1567, Hans Steininger, who held the record for the world's longest beard at 4.5 feet, tragically died due to his own facial hair. While walking, he accidentally stepped on his beard, lost his balance, and fell, breaking his neck in the process. The official biography of deceased North Korean leader Kim Jong-il makes some truly unbelievable claims about his abilities. It states that he once played a round of golf in just 38 shots, could control the weather with his mind, never needed to use the bathroom, and even invented the hamburger. David B. Leake was an American soldier who fought in the Korean War and was awarded the Medal of Honor for an incredible act of bravery. Even after being shot, he continued giving medical attention to a wounded comrade while taking on 5 enemy soldiers, killing 4 of them with his bare hands. Thomas Edison found a creative way to communicate privately with his second wife, Mina Miller. He taught her Morse code so they could secretly tap messages onto each other's hands whenever their families were nearby, allowing them to have personal conversations without anyone knowing. Leonardo DiCaprio owes his name to a legendary artist. When his mother was pregnant with him, she was looking at a Leonardo da Vinci painting in Italy when she felt his first kick. Inspired by the moment, she decided to name him Leonardo. Despite making up only 2% of the body's weight, the human brain is a powerhouse, using nearly 20% of the body's total energy. This incredible organ is constantly working, processing thoughts, emotions, and physical functions, even when we are resting or asleep. In 2013, 59-year-old Alan Markovitz took pettiness to a whole new level. After his wife cheated on him, he bought the house right next to hers and spent $7,000 on a giant statue of a hand giving the middle finger, pointed directly at her house. Kim Peek, the real-life inspiration for the movie Rain Man, was born with significant brain damage, yet he possessed an extraordinary ability. He read over 12,000 books and remembered every single detail. He could even read 2 pages at the same time, one with each eye, retaining everything he read with perfect recall. In 1997, a 17-year-old sheep named Shrek in New Zealand decided to run away and live in a cave to avoid getting sheared. For 7 years, he remained hidden, and by the time he was finally found in 2004, he had grown 60 pounds of wool, enough to make 20 full suits. Mike the Headless Chicken was a real-life chicken that defied nature. In 1945, a farmer beheaded him for dinner, but the bird continued to live for another 18 months. He was fed through an eyedropper and even became a traveling attraction before finally passing away. It cost 1.5 cents to produce a single penny, making it more expensive to create than its actual value. Despite this, in 2018, the U.S. Mint still issued $46 million worth of pennies, keeping the small coin in circulation. Spain's Intempo skyscraper is a bizarre architectural mistake. The building has 47 floors but was somehow designed without any elevators. The issue was discovered too late, making it one of the most impractical modern skyscrapers ever built. Neanderthals had brains that were actually 10% larger than those of modern humans, but that did not make them smarter. Their brains were more focused on vision and body control, while human brains evolved to specialize in reasoning, decision-making, and social interaction, giving us an intellectual edge. The human body is home to trillions of microorganisms, with bacteria outnumbering human cells by a staggering 10 to 1. These tiny organisms play a crucial role in digestion, immunity, and overall health, making us walking ecosystems rather than just individuals. In China, the ultra-wealthy have found a shocking way to escape justice. They can hire body doubles to serve their prison sentences. This loophole allows them to continue their lavish lifestyles while someone else takes their place behind bars. A single photon of light takes a mind-blowing 40,000 years to travel from the core of the sun to its surface. However, once it breaks free, it only takes 8 minutes to reach Earth, providing us with the sunlight that makes life possible. The first diamonds in history were discovered in India as early as the 4th century BC. For more than 2,000 years, India was the only known source of diamonds, until they were eventually found in Brazil in 1725, reshaping the global diamond trade. By the year 2020, an estimated 40 billion devices were expected to be connected to the internet. From smartphones and computers to smart home gadgets and industrial machines, the world is becoming more connected than ever before. As of 2019, the country with the highest homicide rate is El Salvador, with 82.84 homicides per 100,000 inhabitants per year. With approximately 6 million people, that equates to 5,000 people per year. The extremely high homicide rate in this country is marked by significant gang-related crimes and juvenile delinquency. The Terracotta Army is a collection of more than 8,000 clay soldiers, chariots, and horses that took around 37 years to make. They were buried with the emperor in 210 BC to protect him in his afterlife. A person who drives 10 miles to buy a lottery ticket is 3 times more likely to die in a car accident than win the lottery. In only 3% of all bird species does the male have a penis. In 2017, 19% of brides said they met their spouse online. This industry now generates $3 billion a year. You are not allowed to flush the toilet after 10 p.m. in Switzerland. Other bizarre restrictions in the country include being unable to use a high-pressure power hose on your car, hiking naked, hanging out laundry, cutting grass, or recycling on Sundays. Some mandatory rules include paying tax on dogs and ensuring pets such as guinea pigs, goldfish, and budgies have a companion. There are no clocks in the casinos of Las Vegas, which is a strategic decision to make customers lose track of time and stay inside for longer periods, increasing their chances of continuing to gamble without realizing how much time has passed. Grasshoppers have ears located on the sides of their abdomen, a unique adaptation that allows them to detect sound vibrations in their environment, helping them communicate and avoid predators. There are 350 pyramids built by the rulers of the ancient Kushite kingdoms, which are now part of Sudan. These pyramids, smaller but more numerous than those in Egypt, served as tombs for royalty and high-ranking officials. Sark Prison, situated on Sark Island in Guernsey, holds the title of the world's smallest prison, with enough space for only 2 people at a time. Despite its tiny size, it remains an active detention facility for minor offenses. The average speed of a commercial airplane is 485 knots, which translates to approximately 560 miles per hour or 900 kilometers per hour, allowing passengers to travel vast distances across the globe in a matter of hours. The longest recorded living animal is an ocean quahog clam, which was found to be an astonishing 507 years old. The second longest lifespan belongs to a Greenland shark at 392 years, followed by a bowhead whale, which can live up to 211 years. It has only snowed in Cuba once in recorded history, on March 12, 1857. The country's tropical climate makes snowfall an extremely rare phenomenon, with temperatures typically staying warm year-round. Bamboo holds the record for being the fastest-growing plant on Earth, capable of growing up to 35 inches or 91 centimeters in just a single day. This rapid growth makes it an important resource for construction, furniture, and even clothing production. There are approximately 6,500 languages spoken in the world today, but nearly 2,000 of them are endangered, with only 1,000 speakers or fewer. Many of these languages are at risk of disappearing as younger generations shift to dominant global languages. Saddam Hussein, the former president of Iraq, was not only a political figure but also a writer. He secretly authored several novels and a number of poems, which were published anonymously to avoid scrutiny while he was in power. The first building in history to have more than 100 floors was the Empire State Building. Completed in 1931, it stood as the tallest skyscraper in the world for nearly 4 decades, becoming an iconic symbol of New York City. The most visited city in the world is Bangkok, attracting 20 million tourists in the year 2018. It is followed closely by London and Paris, both of which are known for their rich history, iconic landmarks, and vibrant cultures. Humans only make up 48% of internet users, while the remaining 52% of web traffic consists of bots. These automated programs perform various tasks, from search engine indexing to cyber attacks and spam generation. In 1938, Adolf Hitler was named Time's Man of the Year. The title was not an endorsement, but rather a recognition of his global influence at the time. The magazine has since clarified that the selection is based on impact, not morality. China is home to half of the pig population on Earth, making it the world's largest producer and consumer of pork. The country's massive pig farming industry plays a crucial role in its economy and food supply. There's a dog named Faith that was born with no front legs but learned to walk on its hind legs. The dog and its owner both travel to military hospitals to demonstrate that even a dog with a severe disability can live a full life. So you would weigh more at the poles than at the equator, but the difference would only be around 0.5%. This variation occurs due to the Earth's slight bulge at the equator and differences in gravitational pull. Similarly, you would weigh slightly more at sea level than on a mountain peak. Occasionally in the Arctic, the sun can appear square when it is on the horizon. This rare phenomenon is caused by extreme atmospheric refraction and temperature inversion, which distort the sun's shape. On average, brunettes have fewer hairs on their heads than redheads and blondes. Blonde hair tends to be finer but denser, while brunettes and redheads generally have fewer but thicker hair strands. Royal tradition dictates that Prince Charles and Prince William should not travel on the same plane in case of a crash, preventing the loss of 2 heirs at once. The same rule technically applies to Prince William and his son, Prince George. The largest organ of the human body is the skin. It serves as a protective barrier, regulates temperature, and provides sensory information. On average, an adult's skin weighs about 16% of their total body weight. It is a myth that you can bite through a finger as easily as a carrot. While it takes 200 newtons of force to bite through a raw carrot, a human finger requires about 1,485 newtons just to fracture. The construction of the Great Wall of China spanned over 22 centuries. It was built, rebuilt, and extended by multiple imperial dynasties, resulting in a total length exceeding 12,000 miles or 20,000 kilometers. The British Empire was the largest empire in history, reaching its peak in 1920 when it covered nearly a quarter of the Earth's landmass. The empire's influence shaped global politics, trade, and culture for centuries. Most camels in Saudi Arabia are actually imported from Australia. Australia has a large wild camel population, and Saudi Arabia imports them mainly for meat and racing purposes. China is the world's largest polluter, contributing to 30% of global emissions. The primary sources of pollution in China include coal burning, oil consumption, and industrial activities. There are currently about 1.6 billion live websites on the internet. However, 99% of these sites are not indexed by search engines like Google, existing within the deep web, which includes private databases, academic resources, and unlisted content. Like spoken languages, sign language has different accents and variations based on country, age, ethnicity, and whether the user is deaf or hearing. American Sign Language, British Sign Language, and other national versions differ significantly. There are over 1,200 species of bats worldwide, and contrary to popular belief, none of them are blind. Bats use echolocation, a sophisticated system of emitting sound waves and interpreting their echoes to navigate in complete darkness. When buried 6 feet underground without a coffin, an average adult body takes around 8 to 12 years to decompose into a skeleton. Decomposition speed depends on factors like soil composition, moisture, and temperature. Pigs are physically incapable of looking up at the sky due to the structure of their neck muscles and spine. They can, however, tilt their heads slightly if they lie on their backs. The largest bomb ever detonated was the Tsar Bomba, tested by the Soviet Union on October 30th, 1961. It was 3,000 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, with shockwaves breaking windows as far as 560 miles or 900 kilometers away. The wars between the Romans and the Persians lasted for approximately 721 years, making it the longest recorded conflict in human history. These wars, fought between the Roman Empire and the Persian empires of Parthia and Sassanid Persia, shaped the geopolitical landscape of the ancient world. There were at least 42 known assassination attempts against Adolf Hitler. Some of these plots, including the infamous Operation Valkyrie, came dangerously close to succeeding but ultimately failed due to luck, miscommunication, or Hitler's own paranoia. It took 75 years for the telephone to reach 50 million users, 38 years for the radio, 13 years for television, 4 years for the internet, 2 years for Facebook, and only 19 days for Pokemon Go. This rapid acceleration highlights the power of digital connectivity and modern technology. The largest island in the world is Greenland, as Australia is classified as a continent. If Australia were considered an island, it would be the largest, but since it meets the geological criteria for a continent, Greenland holds the title. As of 2018, 4 billion people had access to the internet, yet approximately 844 million people still lacked access to clean drinking water. This stark contrast highlights global inequalities in infrastructure and basic human necessities. A single teaspoon of water contains more atoms than there are teaspoons of water in the entire Atlantic Ocean. This mind-boggling fact underscores the immense scale of atomic structures compared to human perception. Ancient Egyptians used headrests made of stone instead of pillows. These carved supports were designed to keep the head elevated and allow airflow, which was considered essential for comfort and spiritual well-being. France was the first country to introduce vehicle registration plates on August 14, 1893. This innovation marked the beginning of a standardized system for identifying motor vehicles. The average human attention span has nearly halved since the year 2000, dropping from 20 seconds to just 12 seconds by 2018. This decline is often attributed to increased digital stimulation and the rise of social media. The oldest recorded tree in the world is estimated to be 9,550 years old. Located in Dalarna, Sweden, this ancient spruce tree, known as Old Chico, has survived through millennia of environmental changes. The oldest known living system is cyanobacteria, a type of bacteria that originated approximately 2.8 billion years ago. These microorganisms played a crucial role in creating Earth's oxygen-rich atmosphere. Being hungry causes serotonin levels to drop, leading to increased anxiety, stress, and anger. This phenomenon, commonly referred to as being hangry, results from the brain struggling to regulate mood and emotions due to low blood sugar. On Monday, March 23, 2178, Pluto will complete a full orbit around the Sun since its discovery in 1930. Given Pluto's long orbital period, it takes nearly 248 Earth years to complete one revolution. More than 150 people have been cryogenically frozen in hopes that future technology will allow them to be revived. Over 1,000 others have registered to undergo the procedure upon their death. The process remains highly speculative but continues to attract interest. Under extreme pressure, peanut butter can be transformed into diamonds. This occurs because peanut butter contains carbon, which, when subjected to immense pressure and heat, can crystallize into diamond structures. After the release of The Princess and the Frog, over 50 people were hospitalized with salmonella poisoning from kissing frogs. Inspired by the fairy tale, people attempted to recreate the magical transformation, only to suffer from bacterial infections instead. Albert Einstein never wore socks. He found them unnecessary and reportedly disliked how they would develop holes over time, preferring to go without them, even on formal occasions. A can of regular Coca-Cola will sink in water, while a can of Diet Coke will float. This is due to the difference in sugar content. Regular Coke is denser due to the high sugar concentration, whereas Diet Coke, which contains artificial sweeteners, is less dense. In 2010, the Technical University of Munich built 4-story-high slides to help students get to class faster. Instead of taking the stairs, students could slide down, making the campus not only efficient but also a lot more fun. Only about 2% of people on Earth have green eyes, making it one of the rarest eye colors in the world. Unlike blue or brown eyes, green eyes don't come from a single pigment, but result from a mix of low melanin and how light scatters in the iris. When Jackie Chan was 18, he got into a street fight with a group of bikers. Hours later, he noticed what he thought was a bone sticking out of his knuckle and spent an entire day trying to push it back in. Eventually, he realized it wasn't his bone. It was the other guy's tooth. In the early 1970s, a man named Jean-Claude Roman lied about passing his medical exams. He spent the next 18 years living a double life, pretending to be a doctor while carefully maintaining an elaborate web of lies. When he feared being exposed, he committed an unthinkable act. He murdered his entire family to keep his secret. At the Henry Dorley Zoo in Nebraska, an orangutan named Fu Manchu repeatedly escaped from his enclosure. Zookeepers were baffled until they discovered he had secretly fashioned a key from a piece of wire. He was so clever that every time they searched him, he would hide the key in his mouth and wait for the perfect moment to use it again. When the first Air Jordans were introduced in the 1980s, the NBA banned them, but Michael Jordan wore them anyway, and Nike willingly paid the $5,000 fine each time he stepped onto the court. The controversy only made the sneakers more popular, turning them into a cultural icon. Zach Galifianakis was once approached by Nike for an advertising deal after the success of The Hangover. During the conference call, he decided to break the ice with an unexpected question. "So, do you still have 7-year-olds making your stuff?" The deal never happened. In France, a bakery must legally make all of its bread from scratch in order to call itself a bakery. If any part of the bread-making process is outsourced, it loses the right to use the title. In 2005, 110 people tied for second place in the Powerball lottery. Suspicious of possible fraud, officials investigated, only to find that all the winners had used the same lucky numbers from a fortune cookie. In Denmark, the word fart control means speed check. Tourists often take pictures of road signs with the word, mistaking it for something far less appropriate. The Vatican City is home to the world's only ATM that gives instructions in Latin. While most people would struggle to understand it, for the residents of the Vatican, it's just another part of everyday life. In Australia, some trees grow multiple types of fruit, earning them the nickname fruit salad trees. These unique trees are created through grafting and can produce different fruits on a single trunk, like peaches, plums, apricots, and nectarines all growing together. The shortest presidency in history lasted less than 1 hour. On February 19, 1913, Pedro Paredes of Mexico took office and was removed almost immediately. His time as president was so short that many history books don't even mention him. A 20-ounce bottle of Mountain Dew contains the equivalent of 22 sugar packets. That's more sugar than an entire cake. In Moscow, some stray dogs have learned to commute. Every morning, they take the subway from the suburbs to the city, scavenge for food, and then hop back on the train home in the evening. They even recognize different stations by their unique smells. The human brain has a built-in negativity bias, constantly looking for bad news. This survival mechanism evolved to help early humans detect danger, but today it makes people more likely to focus on negative headlines. Remember bad experiences longer and worry unnecessarily. The smallest reptile in the world, the Brookesia micra, is so tiny that it can stand on the head of a match. Discovered in Madagascar, this miniature chameleon is no bigger than a fingernail when fully grown. In 2011, a 99-year-old Italian man named Antonio divorced his 96-year-old wife, Rosa, after discovering letters proving she had an affair in the 1940s. Their 77-year marriage ended over a secret that had been buried for decades. Humans technically live about 80 milliseconds in the past. That's how long it takes for the brain to process information, meaning everything we see has already happened by the time we're aware of it. In 2008, a 19-year-old from England legally changed his name to Captain Fantastic Faster Than Superman, Batman, Wolverine, the Hulk, and the Flash combined. His reason? He just wanted to have the coolest name possible. Paul Getty, a billionaire, refused to pay a $17 million ransom for his kidnapped grandson. When the teenager's severed ear arrived, he agreed to pay $3 million but only actually paid $2.2 million because that was the maximum amount he could write off as a tax deduction. Pogonophobia is the fear of beards. Some people experience anxiety, discomfort, or even panic attacks when faced with someone who has a beard. This fear can stem from past negative experiences or cultural influences. The average episode of Game of Thrones costs between $2 and $3 million to produce. That is 2 to 3 times the budget of a typical network or cable television show per episode, making it one of the most expensive series ever created. Baboons in the wild have been observed kidnapping puppies and raising them as pets. These animals adopt the puppies, protecting them from other threats and even sharing food with them, forming an unusual bond between predator and prey. In 1977, scientists received a mysterious radio signal from space that lasted 72 seconds. It was dubbed the WOW signal, and to this day, remains unexplained. Theories range from extraterrestrial communication to unusual space phenomena. Karl Marx, the father of socialism, had no patience for sentimental goodbyes. His final words before dying in 1883 were, "Go away, last words are for fools who haven't said enough." Una Chaplin, the actress who played Talisa in Game of Thrones, is actually the granddaughter of the legendary silent film actor Charlie Chaplin. Talent and storytelling clearly run in the family. Wolves will often respond to human imitations of their howls. If you howl at a wolf, there is a good chance it will howl back, though its response may depend on its mood and the social dynamics of its pack. The moon is capable of having moonquakes. These quakes are much less frequent and less intense than those on Earth, but can still shake the lunar surface. Some scientists believe they are caused by the moon's gradual shrinking. It is estimated that only 8% of the world's total money exists in physical form. The rest is digital, stored in bank accounts and computer databases, making it nothing more than numbers on a screen. Elephant grass can grow up to 10 feet tall, which is high enough for an elephant to hide in. This towering grass is commonly found in Africa and serves as both food and shelter for various animals. A single factory in Ireland is responsible for producing more than 90% of the world's Botox supply. This wrinkle-smoothing substance is shipped worldwide, proving that beauty treatments often have a surprisingly concentrated origin. Most airplane crashes occur either 3 minutes after takeoff or 8 minutes before landing. Pilots refer to this as the critical 11 minutes, when the most dangerous situations tend to arise. Karl Gagosian, known as the Friday Night Bank Robber, spent 30 years robbing banks across the United States, stealing $2 million before finally being arrested. He is currently serving a 17-year prison sentence. A group of camels is called a caravan. These animals have been used for centuries to transport goods and people across deserts, making them essential for trade and exploration. In 2013, Scottish scientists created a pizza that contains 30% of the daily recommended nutrients. Their goal was to make fast food slightly healthier while maintaining its delicious appeal. More than 30 million people in China still live in caves. These cave dwellings, known as yaodongs, offer natural insulation, keeping them cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Qianmen Mountain in China has a breathtaking skywalk made of glass. The walkway is 200 feet long and 2.5 inches thick. It is so high that visitors can look down on the peaks of smaller mountains below, creating a thrilling yet terrifying experience. The lighter was invented before the matchstick, which seems surprising at first. The first lighter was created in the early 1800s, while friction matches were not invented until the 1820s. In 2009, a 10-year-old British girl named Zoe Pemberton attempted to sell her grandmother on eBay. She found her grandmother annoying and wanted to get rid of her, so she made a listing. The auction attracted attention, but eBay removed it, stating that selling human beings was strictly against company policy. 1 in 5 people in Singapore are millionaires, making it one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Its high concentration of millionaires is due to a booming financial sector, low taxes, and strong economic policies. Despite its small size, Singapore is a major global business hub, attracting the world's wealthiest individuals. Cockroaches have been on Earth for over 120 million years before the dinosaurs appeared. These resilient insects have survived multiple mass extinctions, adapting to different climates and environments. Their ability to live without food for weeks and even survive decapitation makes them one of nature's most durable species. The most popular pet in the world is freshwater fish, outnumbering all other domesticated animals. They are followed by cats and then dogs. Their popularity is due to their low maintenance, peaceful presence, and ability to be kept in small spaces, making them a great choice for apartment dwellers. Every day in the United States, 100 acres of pizza are consumed. That is enough pizza to cover an entire football field multiple times. Pizza remains one of the most beloved foods in the country, with millions of slices being eaten at parties, family gatherings, and late-night cravings. In 2006, artist Kim Graham and a team of 25 volunteers spent 15 days creating a massive 12-foot-tall papier-mâché tree doll. Lightning strikes the Earth much more frequently than most people realize. Around 100 bolts hit the planet every second, each containing up to 1 billion volts of electricity. These strikes help balance the Earth's electrical charge and contribute to natural phenomena such as wildfires, thundercloud formation, and even soil fertilization. Mark Zuckerberg has signed the Giving Pledge, a movement started by Warren Buffett and Bill Gates that encourages billionaires to donate most of their wealth to charity. By pledging to give away billions, Zuckerberg aims to support education, medical research, and technology-driven initiatives that can help solve some of the world's biggest problems. In Japan, it is considered good luck if a sumo wrestler makes your baby cry. This unusual belief comes from an old tradition where sumo wrestlers participate in crying baby contests. It is thought that a loud, healthy cry indicates a strong baby, and having a sumo wrestler encourage it brings good fortune. Carrots were originally purple instead of orange. The familiar orange variety we see today became popular in the 17th century, when Dutch farmers selectively bred them as a tribute to the ruling House of Orange. Before that, carrots came in various colors including red, yellow, and even white. Over 99% of all species that have ever existed on Earth have gone extinct, amounting to roughly 5 billion species. Extinction is a natural part of evolution, with new species evolving to replace old ones. Climate change, natural disasters, and competition for resources have played major roles in this cycle over millions of years. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, is also the owner of the Washington Post. He purchased the newspaper in 2013, aiming to modernize it with digital innovations. Since then, the publication has significantly expanded its online presence and remains one of the most influential news organizations in the world. Google rents goats instead of using lawnmowers at its Mountain View headquarters. The company hires herds to graze on the grass, reducing the need for gas-powered mowers. This eco-friendly initiative not only keeps the lawns trimmed, but also helps prevent wildfires by naturally clearing dry grass. When you get blackout drunk, you do not actually forget anything. Instead, your brain stops recording memories in the first place. Alcohol affects the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for forming new memories, so events that happen during extreme intoxication simply never get stored. Nintendo has accumulated so much wealth that the company could run a deficit of $250 million every year and still survive until the year 2052. This financial stability comes from decades of successful gaming products, including classics like Super Mario, Pokemon, and The Legend of Zelda. Taiwan became the first country to offer free Wi-Fi to all tourists. With over 4,000 hotspots across the island, visitors can stay connected without worrying about data charges. This initiative has made Taiwan one of the most convenient travel destinations for people who rely on constant internet access. There is a fruit called black sapote, also known as the chocolate pudding fruit. When perfectly ripe, it tastes almost identical to chocolate pudding, but is much healthier. It is low in fat, naturally sweet, and contains 4 times more vitamin C than an orange, making it a guilt-free treat. In North Korea, citizens must choose from one of 28 government-approved haircuts. These styles are specifically selected to promote uniformity and discourage individuality. The government views strict control over hairstyles as part of its larger effort to maintain a controlled, obedient society. It is estimated that around 3 million shipwrecks lie scattered across the ocean floor. Many of these wrecks contain treasures worth billions of dollars, including gold, silver, and ancient artifacts. Some of the most valuable sunken ships remain undiscovered, waiting for deep-sea explorers to recover their hidden riches. In 2013, a company called Limite Zero created a unique international zipline between Spain and Portugal. Spanning over 2,300 feet, the zipline allows thrill-seekers to travel from one country to another in mere seconds. It is the only zipline in the world that crosses an international border. The air inside potato chip bags that people often complain about is not actually air. It is nitrogen. This gas is used to keep the chips fresh and crisp by preventing oxidation. It also acts as a cushion during transportation, preventing the fragile chips from breaking and ensuring they reach consumers intact. The infinite monkey theorem states that if a monkey randomly presses keys on a typewriter for an infinite amount of time, it will eventually type out any text, including the complete works of William Shakespeare. This concept is often used to illustrate probability, randomness, and the idea of infinite possibilities in mathematics and philosophy. If you do not strongly identify as an extrovert or an introvert, you may be an ambivert. Ambiverts enjoy social interactions but also need time alone to recharge. They are flexible in different environments, balancing the enthusiasm of extroverts with the reflective nature of introverts, making them adaptable in both work and personal life. In 2007, a twin girl was born, 34 minutes after her brother. However, due to daylight saving time adjustments, her official birth certificate recorded her as being born 25 minutes before him. This unusual timing made her, on paper, the older sibling despite physically being born second, leading to an amusing family story. A study conducted by the University of Sheffield aimed to improve hospital design for children. Researchers polled 250 children about their feelings toward clowns, expecting some positive responses. However, every single child reported disliking or fearing them. This study confirmed that clowns are more unsettling than entertaining for many young patients. The most expensive thing ever built is the International Space Station, ISS. It has cost an estimated $150 billion so far, with expenses continuing to rise as new sections are added. The ISS is a multinational project used for scientific research, space exploration, and international collaboration in studying life beyond Earth. A study conducted by Bay State Medical Center in Springfield revealed that nearly 58% of people experience phantom vibration syndrome. This is a psychological phenomenon where individuals mistakenly feel their phone vibrating in their pocket, even when it is not. It is believed to be caused by the brain adapting to frequent phone use. In 2013, a man named Harrison Oken survived 3 days at the bottom of the ocean after his ship sank. Trapped in an air pocket inside the wreckage, he endured complete darkness, freezing temperatures, and the fear of drowning before being miraculously rescued by deep-sea divers searching for bodies. North Korea follows a different calendar system than the rest of the world. Instead of using the Gregorian calendar, they count years based on the birth of Kim Il-sung, the country's founding leader. As a result, while much of the world considers the year 2025, North Korea considers it the year 109. In 1912, Theodore Roosevelt was shot in the chest just before delivering a speech. After determining that the bullet had not punctured his lung, he refused medical treatment and proceeded to give a full 90-minute speech. He later received treatment, but the bullet remained in his body for the rest of his life. In Armenia, chess is a mandatory subject in schools for children 6 years and older. The country believes that teaching chess helps develop critical thinking, strategic planning, and problem-solving skills. This initiative has contributed to Armenia's reputation as one of the world's strongest nations in chess, producing many grandmasters and champions. The Sahara Desert plays a crucial role in fertilizing the Amazon rainforest. Every year, winds carry millions of tons of Saharan dust across the Atlantic Ocean, depositing vital nutrients like phosphorus into the soil of the Amazon. This natural process helps replenish the rainforest, supporting its diverse ecosystem and plant life. As a child, Muhammad Ali was denied an autograph by his boxing idol, Sugar Ray Robinson. This experience left a lasting impression on him. When Ali became a world-famous boxer, he vowed never to refuse an autograph request from a fan, a promise he honored throughout his entire legendary career. Before enforcing the Cuban trade embargo in 1962, President John F. Kennedy ensured that he had his personal supply of Cuban cigars. He ordered his staff to purchase over 1,000 cigars before signing the embargo, which banned all Cuban goods from entering the United States, including its famous tobacco products. In 1976, a Greek war veteran named Stamatis Moritis was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer and given 6 months to live. Instead of seeking treatment, he moved back to his home village, enjoying a simple life. When he returned to the doctors 10 years later, he found that they had all passed away. He ultimately lived to be 102 years old. An Indiana State Prison has an unusual rehabilitation program that allows murderers to adopt and care for cats in their prison cells. The program aims to teach inmates responsibility, empathy, and compassion by providing them with a living creature to care for. Many inmates have reported that the companionship of a pet has positively changed their behavior. The Gatling gun, one of the first successful machine guns, wasn't created purely for warfare. It was actually meant to reduce human suffering. Dr. Richard Gatling, its inventor, his hope was that by creating a weapon that required fewer soldiers, wars could be fought with smaller armies, reducing the spread of deadly illnesses. Ironically, his invention became a deadly force in modern warfare instead. If New York City were its own country, its police force would have a military budget ranked among the top 20 in the world. The NYPD receives more funding than the entire North Korean military and is just slightly behind Greece's army. In other words, the police force of one city has more financial backing than the armed forces of an entire nation. Imagine traveling the world for free while learning how to farm. That's exactly what the Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms program allows people to do. Volunteers get free food and accommodation in exchange for working on farms across different countries. It's a win-win. Travelers get to explore new cultures without spending a fortune, and farms get extra helping hands. Brass doorknobs may seem ordinary, but they have a built-in superpower. They disinfect themselves. Thanks to a natural process called the oligodynamic effect, bacteria and germs that land on brass surfaces are killed within about 8 hours. A man in China pulled off one of the most creative airport scams in history. In 2014, he bought a first-class ticket on China Eastern Airlines. Not to fly, but to eat. With his ticket, he had access to the VIP lounge, where he enjoyed free food every day for almost an entire year. Each day, he would check in, feast on the luxurious meals, and then reschedule his flight for the next day. He repeated this process 300 times before the airline caught on. In the end, he canceled his ticket for a full refund and walked away without spending a dime. Until 2012, 1% of Greenland's entire population lived in a single apartment complex called Block P. The massive building was home to thousands of residents, making it feel more like a vertical city than an ordinary apartment. But as Greenland modernized, the government demolished it, forcing an entire community to disperse. Believe it or not, German used to be the second most widely spoken language in the United States. Before World War I, German newspapers, schools, and businesses flourished across America. But when the war began, anti-German sentiment skyrocketed, and the language was aggressively suppressed. Laws were even passed to ban German from being spoken in public. Over time, it faded into history, leaving English to dominate. In the 1960s, the U.S. conducted a wild experiment. Could two people with no nuclear experience design an atomic bomb just by using publicly available information? The answer was terrifying. Yes, they could. With nothing but library books and technical manuals, these two individuals managed to design a functional nuclear weapon, proving that classified information wasn't as secret as people thought. By the time Donald Trump was 27 years old, he already owned 14,000 apartments. While most people in their 20s are just starting their careers, he had already built a real estate empire that would set the stage for his future in business and politics. The Challenger Deep, located in the Mariana Trench, is the deepest known point in Earth's oceans. At 10,994 meters below the surface, it's so deep that if Mount Everest were placed inside, its peak would still be more than 2 kilometers underwater. The pressure at that depth is intense enough to crush a human instantly. Ever heard of chaology? It's the study of chaos theory, which explores how small changes can lead to massive, unpredictable outcomes. The famous butterfly effect, where the flap of a butterfly's wings can theoretically set off a tornado, is a key concept in this field. Adolf Hitler had a chilling plan for after World War II. He wanted to build a museum dedicated to what he called an extinct race, the Jewish people. He actively collected Jewish artifacts, books, and religious items, hoping to display them in a museum of a people he aimed to eradicate. The world, however, had other plans. Male puppies have a heartwarming way of encouraging their female playmates. Even though they are physically stronger, they will intentionally lose during play fights just to keep the game going. It's a charming display of social bonding, proving that even in the animal kingdom, kindness can take precedence over competition. The Antonov. An-225 is the largest aircraft ever built, originally designed to transport spaceplanes. Weighing 285 tons with a wingspan of 88 meters, this absolute behemoth of a plane cost $250 million to build. It remains one of the most powerful cargo aircraft in the world. A single kick from a giraffe is strong enough to kill a lion. With their long legs and powerful muscles, these gentle-looking giants pack a deadly punch when they feel threatened. Even apex predators think twice before messing with them. The youngest pope in history was only 12 years old. Pope Benedict IX, born in 1012, was still a child when he was elected as the leader of the Catholic Church. Unsurprisingly, his reign was marked by controversy, and he was eventually removed from power. Ever seen an intricate design carved into wood? That's xylography, the ancient art of engraving detailed patterns onto wooden surfaces. It has been used for centuries in printing, decoration, and artistic expression. The Empire State Building, one of the most iconic skyscrapers in the world, was built in just 410 days. Given its sheer height and complexity, constructing it in such a short time remains one of the greatest engineering feats in history. Inside a Boeing 747, there are approximately 260 kilometers of wiring. If stretched out in a straight line, it would be long enough to connect two major cities. The complexity behind modern aircraft is truly mind-blowing. The pyramids of Giza still hold secrets. Even with modern technology, there are several unexplored hidden passages within these ancient structures. Researchers continue to uncover new chambers, proving that some of history's greatest mysteries remain unsolved. J.K. Rowling made history as the first author to reach billionaire status through book sales alone. But what's even more impressive, she voluntarily gave up her billionaire title by donating vast amounts of her fortune to charity. While most billionaires focus on increasing their wealth, she chose to spread her success, proving that magic isn't limited to the pages of Harry Potter. In 17th century Holland, a single tulip could be worth more than a house. During a period known as tulip mania, people were so obsessed with these flowers that their prices skyrocketed, creating one of the world's first recorded economic bubbles. But when reality hit, the market crashed, leaving many investors financially ruined, all because of a flower. In ancient Egypt, cats were more than just pets. They were considered sacred. Losing a cat wasn't just heartbreaking, it was a profound moment of grief. Egyptians even shaved off their eyebrows as a mourning ritual, letting the world know they had lost a beloved feline companion. There's a lake in Kazakhstan with a history that sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie. Lake Chagan is the only body of water on Earth created by a nuclear explosion. The Soviet Union detonated a bomb in 1965 to carve out a reservoir, and although it remains filled with water, it's still too radioactive for swimming even after decades. Before the Renaissance, nearly 75% of all books in the world were written in Chinese. At a time when most of Europe was still relying on handwritten manuscripts, China had already perfected mass printing, shaping the way knowledge was preserved and shared for centuries. On a pitch-black night, if conditions are just right, the human eye can detect the flicker of a candle from 30 miles away. That's roughly the distance of a marathon, showcasing just how remarkably sensitive our vision can be. Every blue-eyed person alive today can trace their ancestry back to a single genetic mutation that occurred 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. Before that, every human had brown eyes. This single mutation spread over generations, giving rise to the variety of eye colors seen today. Believe it or not, for less than the price of a Ferrari, you could buy a fully renovated Boeing 737. Of course, finding parking for a plane might be trickier than for a sports car. Smartphones are some of the most complex inventions in modern history, and the proof is in the patents. There are over 250,000 active patents that apply to smartphone technology, meaning every feature, from touchscreens to battery optimization, is the result of countless innovations. The world's first refined sugar came from India, where early extraction and purification techniques were developed as early as 510 BC. Before that, honey was the go-to sweetener, but India's discovery changed the way the world experienced sweetness forever. Fast food isn't just an occasional treat, it's a major part of life for many Americans. On average, a person in the U.S. spends $1,200 on fast food every year, proving just how much convenience can shape eating habits. When a camel is thirsty, it doesn't sip water, it chugs it. A single camel can drink 53 gallons of water in just 3 minutes, a survival adaptation that allows it to endure long stretches in the desert without hydration. Earth's water has remained constant for billions of years, continuously cycling through rain, rivers, and oceans. But in about 1 billion years, the sun will become 10% brighter, increasing heat levels and slowly stripping Earth of all its water, making it as dry as Mars. Crabs have an incredible superpower. They can regenerate their lost claws and legs, growing them back to 95% of their original size. So if a crab loses a limb in battle, it's just a matter of time before it's as good as new. The largest living structure on Earth isn't a tree or a whale, it's the Great Barrier Reef. Stretching over 1,200 miles, it's so massive that it can even be seen from space. If you were standing on the moon, you'd weigh just 1/6 of what you do on Earth. Astronauts don't actually float in space. They're just experiencing significantly reduced gravity, which is why they move in slow, graceful jumps. Given enough space and food, just 2 rats could multiply into a population of 1 million in just 18 months. Their rapid reproduction rate is why they've successfully adapted to almost every environment on Earth. It's impossible to taste food without saliva. Chemicals from food must first dissolve in saliva before they can be detected by taste buds. Without it, everything would be as flavorless as cardboard. And that's just a glimpse into the unbelievable world we live in. If you enjoyed these mind-blowing facts, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Who knows? The next fact might just change the way you see the world. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.